Hey guys, what I would like to do in this video is talk about laptops. I'd like to talk about 4 new laptops that have just came out or they've been announced and they're coming out over the next few weeks. The 4 laptops are the new Dell Xps 13 2020, which is the successor to this one, the new Apple Macbook Pro 13, the new Microsoft Surface Go 2 and the new Microsoft Surface Book 3. Microsoft have also announced a new Surface Dock, so I'll quickly cover that as well. Now, all of these laptops share one thing in common. They're all portable, they're all lightweight, they're all sexy, but they're all quite expensive. They really are at the top of the consumer market. So if you're looking for a laptop, these will probably be at the top of your budget. And apart from the Microsoft Surface Go 2, all of these laptops have a 13-inch screen, or to be more specific, they've got a 13.3, 13.4 or a 13.5-inch screen. Although the Surface Book 3 is also available in a 15-inch version. So before I go on, I just want to quickly talk about the 2 laptops here. I have done unboxings of these and all that, but I bought these 6 months ago, Dell laptops, and I still have to do a review of these, so stay tuned for that. I will do a review of these. This is my Dell Alienware M15. It is a gaming laptop, it is noisy, but it is a beast. It's an absolute beast. And I've not used this as much as I thought I would, simply because I've not been doing as much video editing use it downstairs, and I've not done as much game streaming as I wanted to do. But this is a great laptop. The 2080 is just fantastic. It just smashes all games. Still one of the best GPUs you can get on a laptop right now. And next to it here, I've got the Dell XPS 13, which leads me on to the new version which is coming out. Now this model number is the 7390. It's got a 13.3-inch display. Now there's lots of different variations of it. You can get it in 1080p, you can get it in 4K. I've got the 4K screen with touchscreen. In hindsight, I probably should have went for the 4K OLED screen because, to be honest, I don't really use the touchscreen. I thought I would. You know, I've got a Surface Pro and I thought, you know, using the Surface Pro all the time I would use a touchscreen here, but I really haven't. I really haven't used it. Oh, okay, it's not moving in there you can see. But what I would say about this is the laptop I have used the most. This replaced an older laptop which was a 15.6-inch screen, and it was about 2.2 kilograms in weight, or 2 kilograms in weight or something. In comparison, this one is 1.2 kilograms, and that has been really good for me. You know, bringing my main laptop down in size has meant that it's just easier to take around. It's just easier to take it to the kitchen, to take it upstairs, to take it downstairs. And it took me a while to get used to the keyboard being a little bit smaller, but I'm really happy with this now. It's been a fantastic laptop for me, and I've probably wrote a few 100,000 words on this. I'm not even joking. You know, I write tens of thousands of words a week, and this has been my main laptop. So overall, I have been happy with this. It's not perfect, but Dell never rest on their laurels with this. This is one of the most popular series of laptops that Dell sell. They sell the Dell XPS 13 and 15, and they release 2 or 3 different versions of this every single year. Now, if I jump over to my browser, you can see the version that I've got. This is the 7390, and the reason I'm pointing that out is because every Dell XPS 13 can be distinguished by its model number. So it gets a little bit confusing when you're comparing different models, but the one I've got here and the one you can see in the browser is the 7390. And you can see it here, this one's got the i7 10510U or 10510U. That is the CPU that's in mine. 13.3-inch display, UHD graphics. No surprise, there's no graphics card here. And it also has 16 gigabytes or up to 16 gigabytes of LPDDR3 RAM, 2133 megahertz. Now, some of you might be surprised by that, but you need to remember that most thin and light laptops are still using DDR3 RAM. That's why it's in here. It's why it's in the older Microsoft Surface laptops and all that as well. Bigger laptops, desktops all have DDR4 RAM. But yeah, I've not really had a problem with that. I've not had a problem with the memory. I don't feel that it's not been as quick as it should have been. Dell always sell kind of 2 versions of this. Whenever they release a new one, the one that used to be called the new 13 becomes 13, and then, you know, the new version is now called new 13. But this version is still selling for £1,349. As I said, this is not a cheap laptop. So you can see that the version I've got, it might actually be more expensive than that because mine's is touchscreen, 4K. But yeah, £1,349 for the top model. If I switch to the 2020, and just to point out the obvious here, I'm looking at UK prices here. I'm talking in pounds, simply because it gets confusing changing from the US price to the Euros price to the UK pounds price. I'll just stick to UK pounds. But this is the XPS 13 2020. And, you know, every time that Dell release a new version of this, they tend to just tweak things a little bit. The biggest change over the last few years was moving their pinhole webcam from the bottom of the screen to the top. Why they put it at the bottom before, I realised they were trying to minimise space, but yeah, that was a bad move and they corrected that. But here they have actually changed a few things. They've got this new i7 106 5G7 CPU, which is a quad-core CPU with 8 threads, and it goes up to 3.9 gigahertz, 8 megabytes of cache. So it's a more powerful CPU, but they've also, I think this is more significant, they've also changed from the DDR3 RAM to DDR4. So you can see it there, LPDDR4X RAM. And the memory speed has went up from 2,133 to 3,733. Now, I don't own this laptop. I haven't tested it to compare it with this one, but my guess is with the new CPU and with this faster memory that this newer version is a little bit snappier, a little bit more responsive, and it's probably just a more pleasant user experience because everything's a little bit quicker. That's my guess. Not to, you know, point out that this one's bad. So yeah, the new CPU, the new RAM, and the display has been changed to 13.4 inches. Now this isn't cheap. The cheapest model of this is £1,400, £1,399. The more expensive one is £1,700. What I would say about this though is one of the only customizations that I've did to this one. Did I change? I may have changed the Wi-Fi card in this as well, but one of the things I did change in this is the storage, and that's the one thing you can change in this. You can't change the RAM, the memory is soldered onto the board, but you can change the storage. So what I did was I opted for the 512 gigabyte SSD, and then I put in my own 1 terabyte drive. And looking at the prices here, this is probably what I would do. Instead of getting this more expensive model, I would go for the 512 and then just buy like a Samsung Evo drive, a 970 Evo or something like that. Probably works out better doing that. Plus you can have the original 512 gigabyte drive you can use as a backup or for, using your desktop or whatever. You can sell it. I think it works out better doing that. But you can see it is certainly not a cheap laptop. And that's the one theme with all of these laptops. They're not cheap. I need to remind you again, none of these laptops are cheap. There's many cheaper alternatives out there. What I would say about this though is, when I bought this, I thought I'll use it for a few years. And when you're looking at using a laptop every single day for work, and you're thinking, I'll be using this a few years down the line, it is worth paying a little bit of a premium for certain things, such as a better keyboard, such as a better webcam, better speakers, a better display. In the short term, these things, it's hard to really find value in it, but long term, the actual increase, in price that you've paid, it works out a good deal, in my opinion. It does depend on your budget though, and it does depend on your needs. I can always justify these things because I work on the internet, so that's the way I kind of justify it to myself. If I jump back to the browser, we can look at one of the main competitors to the Dell XPS 13 range, and it is the Apple MacBook Pro 13. Now, if you cast your minds back to a few months ago, you'll remember that Apple changed their MacBook range, and they changed the MacBook Pro from a 15-inch laptop to a 16-inch laptop. Now, one of the major changes they made earlier this year was to replace their keyboard. I don't know why, but for a few years, Apple used this really stupid keyboard mechanism. No one liked the keys. The keys broke all the time. It was just stupid, and they used it for a few years. Now, in January this year, whenever the 16-inch version came out, they came out and they replaced the keyboard. They put in scissor keys. Now, scissor keys have been in laptops for many, many years. Scissor keys have been in laptops for many, many years, but Apple have taken it upon themselves to call it a magic keyboard, whatever. But apparently the typing experience on this, on the new MacBook Pros the experience is apparently excellent. The keyboard is really, really good now. And that's ultimately what you want in a laptop when you're spending a few thousand. You can't get the keyboard wrong. So they have addressed that. Now, it's important to point that out because when they brought out the MacBook Pro 16, the MacBook Pro 13 still had the older keyboard, the one that no one liked. And this new version has the new magic keyboard in quotations. Just looking at it, it's a MacBook Pro. Every MacBook Pro has looked the same since forever. It's still got the touch bar. 10th generation processors. We'll look at the specs in a bit there, but you can see they're still using the term Retina display, which is I'm surprised they're still using that terminology when the resolution is actually smaller than other laptops in the market, but there you go. The touch bar in Touch ID, the touch bar seems to be a take it or leave it thing. A lot of people don't want it. A lot of people want to go back to function keys. I'm not sure I can comment on this. You know, I use function keys all the time, and you know, it's hard to even think about using this keyboard without function keys. But you can replace those with the display, the touchpad display. You can put function keys there. And looking at it from a content creation point of view, if I'm using Photoshop, if I'm writing, if I'm editing videos, there are a lot of applications and a lot of situations where I think I would use the touch bar and I would find it useful. I've not used it though. I've seen it in a shop. I've not used it, so I don't think I can really comment on it. So yeah, you should really, it's not ideal with the lockdown, but it'd be good for you to see what it's like. I do like the idea of the touch bar. I just wish they didn't have to replace the function keys for it. I wish they put it somewhere else. Yeah, but that is one of the main things about it. The other thing here is Thunderbolt ports. So again, if you're coming from another laptop and you're used to Type A ports, a standard Type A port, it might be a little bit strange to have 2 or 4 Type C Thunderbolt 3 ports. This laptop here, the XPS 13, has got 3 Thunderbolt 3 ports, and I don't miss them. I've got a wireless mouse, I've got wireless headphones, I've got adapters for other hard drives. To me, in the way that I use my computers, it's not a main issue, but just bear in mind that you will be changing to Type C only for the ports there. I don't think it's a main problem now for anyone, and you can buy adapters. You don't have to buy the official Apple adapters. Looking at the tech specs, you can buy this in 2 colours. You can get it in essentially 2 colours of grey. You've got a silver grey or a space grey. 2 colours of grey. The base resolution is 2560 by 1600. It can scale down. As I said, I mean, I don't think the resolution is everything, and I think that at that kind of size of screen, that's actually quite a good medium, because with the Dell XPS 13, you've got either a 1080p screen or a 4K screen. And a lot of people say 1080p is fine with a 13.3 inch display. But I've got a 4K on mine and I think it looks great. So I don't know, this is kind of in between. I think it's a good resolution for this size. You know, the larger laptops would want a higher resolution, but you can get a 4K screen with other companies. But I don't think that's a problem for anyone. So this is the other thing here as well. So I did discuss memory there with the XPS 13, and it is worth noting that all versions of the XPS 13 do have the new LPDDR4X RAM, the faster memory. But in the MacBook Pro, it does depend on which model you choose. There's basically 2 configurations of the 8GB model and 2 configurations of the 16GB model. And you can see here that this one here, this one, is the older LPDDR3 RAM. And you can go up to 16GB, and this one you can go up to 32GB. But just bear in mind, Apple's premiums for increasing storage and increasing memory is just ridiculous. But you know, you're kind of stuck to it with what they charge. There's nothing else you can do. The other thing is the base model there, it's got a different graphics shared graphics card, but it's also got 2 Thunderbolt C ports rather than 4. So I mean, it's up to you. I'll show you the prices in a moment just to show you what's there, but it's got a 720p camera and all that as well, 10 hours. The other thing is that this is 1.4 kilograms. It's a little bit heavier. And let's look at the UK prices just to put this into perspective. So you've got the 13-inch here, and you've got the 2 base models here, and it's £1,300 and £1,500. And then if you move up to the version which is got the faster memory and the 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, it's £1,800 and £2,000. And that's before you increase the storage to 32GB and things like that. So this is not a cheap laptop. This is not a cheap laptop at all. Not in the slightest. It really isn't. But in saying that, you know, then this is the thing. I'm not an Apple hater. I would definitely go back to Apple for phones and Apple for laptops and computers if I thought they offered value. I mean, most of the time when I look at an Apple product, I just look at, well, I can get so much more value in the Windows world. I can get so much more value in the Android world. That being said, if I was to buy this laptop again and this new MacBook Pro 13 was out, I'd probably lean towards buying the MacBook 3 just because if I'm paying this premium anyway, paying an extra few £100 to get that, you know, to get the touch bar, I think it'd be worth the premium. I think it'd be worth the premium, but it really does depend on your position. Neither of these laptops are cheap, but when Dell were pricing their laptops kind of a very similar price range to Apple's, then it's up to you which one you choose. I think looking back, I would have picked the MacBook Pro 13, but that was 6 months ago, not now. But yeah, there it is. I think Apple have done a good job here, but it's expensive. It's expensive. So let's move on. The new Surface Go 2. This is the smallest laptop that I'm looking at today. Do you even call this a laptop? It's a tablet. Now, many of you know I've got the Surface Pro 6. It's actually at my girlfriend's right now. She's kind of adopted it, stolen it, whatever way you look at it. This is the smaller version of it, and I was really tempted with the original Surface Go. So this has got a smaller screen. It's got a 10.5 inch screen rather than, I think it's 12.9 for the larger ones, like for the Surface Pro 7. This is extremely light, 544 grams. It'll be a couple of 100 grams for the keyboard as well. 10 hours battery life, 64% faster for the M3 version versus the original one. I mean, this is not for everyone. This is not for everyone. I'll just quickly look at the tech specs here. And so there's two different versions of this. You can either get it in a 4GB or 8GB version, and there's two different processors. This first one here, 4425Y, I don't know how you pronounce that, but that's a dual core with 4 threads, 1.7 gigahertz, and the M3 version has got a turbo speed up to 3.4, so that is significantly quicker. It really is a faster CPU, something to bear in mind, but it is more expensive. The cheaper version as well has got this eMMC storage rather than a solid state drive. It really is a slower version of it. If I kind of come up here, I just want to quickly talk about the cameras as well. This has got a 5 megapixel front camera, 8 megapixel rear camera, and it's got 2-watt stereo speakers. And I'll just quickly show you the prices here in the UK. So the two different versions there. You've got the base model, the cheapest version. I'll forget about the LTE, the kind of mobile version, but you've got the Wi-Fi version. £400 is the base model, the cheapest model. 529. So it's another. I mean, this is the thing. You know, they're increasing storage from 64 to 128, and the RAM, the memory from 4GB to 8GB, and it goes up another £130. It's a bit of a premium. You know, it is what it is. I would be more tempted to go for this M3 version, which is £619, just because if you're paying that premium, I'd rather get the faster CPU, but 400 against 620, you know, it's more than 50% more. It is a significant jump. This laptop is not for everyone, and you can't really compare it to the XPS 13 or anything like that. But what I would say is, there's things I love about the Surface Pro range and there's things I hate about it. The actual laptop experience as far as typing on it, the Surface Pro with that kind of flimsy keyboard, it's not great. But as a portable laptop, it's fantastic. But also as a media device, the Surface range is just amazing. I can't stress how good the speakers are on the Surface range. I can't stress how good the webcams are. The webcam on my Surface Pro 6 is even better than this, and it's like a year or so older. And that's what you'll get with the Surface Go 2. You'll get these fantastic webcams on them that you don't normally find in other tablets. What I think this is maybe a harder sell for, I think this is maybe a harder sell for some people, because this is one of the best ways to have a portable Windows solution, a portable Windows laptop that gives you access to all your Windows programs. But bear in mind that if you're looking to buy a tablet, you could get an iPad for this price. You could get a Samsung Galaxy Tab for this price, and those tablets will have significantly faster CPUs. The CPUs will be so much faster than it, and you will also get a true tablet experience. You'll get Android apps or you'll get iOS apps, whereas Windows really hasn't optimized that mobile tablet experience yet. But the way that I look at it with this is, it's a bad tablet, it's a bad laptop, but it's an overall great travel package. I don't know if that's the way that you would look at it, but just bear in mind, if you're looking for a tablet, it's difficult to compare this to an iPad or a Samsung Galaxy Tab or even the new Huawei M6, because those are true tablets. This is a hybrid. This is a Windows laptop that can be used as a tablet. But I will say I love the Surface Pro range and this appeals to me. I don't know how I would use it, but I just think these devices are amazing. So yeah, take that however you want it. So staying with Microsoft Surface, the newly announced Surface Book 3. The powerhouse. This is the most powerful Surface laptop you can get. They've got the Surface laptop, they've got the Surface Book, they've also got the Surface computer, but this is the new version of the Surface Book 3. It ain't cheap. This is one of the most expensive options out there. You can get it in 13.5 inch or 15 inch sizes. Some of them come with, I can't remember if all of them come with graphics cards, we'll check that. Yeah, they do, up to a 1660 Ti. These things are gorgeous. It's kind of a strange device though, because it's like, I don't know if any of you guys have ever used one of these or picked them up in the shop, but the tablet is just crazy at how heavy it is. Like you pick it up and you're like, wow, it's weird. As a laptop, the Surface Book is one of the best experiences. The keyboard that attaches to it is fantastic, and the tablet is fantastic too. It's just, to me, that laptop or the Surface Book tablet is just not practical to use as a tablet. But it's such a versatile device because you've got the pen and you've got all these different applications that you can use with it. But it does come at a premium. It does come at a premium. I was very impressed with the Surface Book, and I was very close to buying one at one point. I thought it was one of the best kind of hybrid solutions I could have opted for. And you can see, as I said, just like the Surface Go, you've got the 5 megapixel and 8 megapixel cameras on it. These cameras are fantastic. You've got where's the CPUs? Where's the CPU? So here, if you get the i5 model, you've got a 103.5G7, which is this one, quad core, 8 threads. But you can also get it in the 13.5 inch and in the 15 inch version. You can get the same CPU, and it's this 106.5G7. And again, you'll remember this because this is the same CPU in the Dell Xps 13, same CPU that's in this Surface Book. But the difference is here you can get a graphics card as well in certain models. You can see there the base model here is just get shared graphics, but if you go for this 106 5G7, you will get the 1650 with the 13.5 inch, and you'll get the 1660 Ti. So those are decent graphics cards. I mean, you'll be able to play Fortnite and things like that with these cards at 1080p. Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of strange solution because these laptops aren't really light. You can see the weight of them here. 1.6 kilograms, and they're not heavy, but compared to some of the other laptops here, like the XPS 13, they're a little bit on the heavier side. 2 kilograms for the 15 inch. They're certainly light for the type of laptops they are, but in comparison to the 13 inch MacBook, they kind of seem fat. I mean, you're going about 1.2 kilograms up to 1.4 kilograms, and then here you're talking 1.6, 1.7 kilograms. Am I on the right one? Yes, I am. Yeah, there it's there. I couldn't find it there. 1.6 and a half almost. So the displays here, again, this is close to 4K. The base model 13.5 inches, 3000 by 2000. The larger 15 inches got 3240 by 2160. These kind of strange resolution sizes, but the PPI is almost the same in both of them. 267 PPI there. This is not for everyone. This is not for everyone. But what I would say is, it's not ideal. My normal recommendation for all of you would be to go into a shop and look at the Surface Pro, the Surface Go, the Surface Laptop, and the Surface Book and get a feel for what all of these do. But you can't obviously do that now with just now with lockdown. But none of these solutions are cheap. I mean, look at the base model here. £1,600 for the base model. You go up to that i7, and really you should be pushing for that i7. You're talking £2,000. £2,000, and then you want to go up to 32 gigabytes of RAM, and you know, because you can't upgrade memory, you should really go for it. 2,449. I think the £2,000 model here, if you look at all of these models here, I think the £2,000 model is the best value one, but you're still limited with that smaller hard drive, so you maybe have to start using portable drives for storage or saving things to the cloud. But certainly I wouldn't be too pleased about paying an extra £450 for 16 gigabytes of memory and 256 gigabytes of storage. I would be more inclined to go for the £2,000 version. These are not cheap laptops. So the last thing I want to quickly show you is the new Microsoft Surface Dock 2. So some of the new Surface laptops have got a Type-C connection. They've all got Type-C connections, whereas previously you only had a USB Type A or a Surface port connection, their own proprietary port. So they've got a new Surface dock out. This is only their second dock after like 8 years or something of Surface devices. And you can see here it's got USB Type C ports. To replace the previous pair of mini display ports, they've now got, what have they got here? Okay. So you can see you've got 2 Type C ports there. And the other side, you've got 2 Type C ports, but I think those are for displays. And you've also got the Ethernet ports, or Type A port, sorry, there, and an Ethernet port there as well. So there it's there. USB Type C ports, Ethernet jack, headphone jack, 2 USB Type A and a Kensington lock. And they've got a USB-C travel hub as well. Now, I was just checking that. I was getting a little bit confused looking at there. Like, it was like, is that Type C? So they're going for they've got the displays. It's kind of similar to here. I've got 2 mini display ports here. I've got 2 Type A ports. I've got an Ethernet port. And at the front, they've got Type A ports. Really what they're doing here is replacing the 2 Type A ports at the front there with Type C. It's an update of this one. I don't actually use this one. I should really sell it because it's just sitting there. But the Surface dock is one of the best devices you can get if you've got one of the Surface laptops, because you'll get a faster charging rate and you've got a faster transfer rate for data if you're connecting devices as well, because so much can be connected through, if I can get it, through this cable. Charging's quicker, transferring data is quicker, everything is just quicker going through the dock. So if you are looking to buy a Surface Book, the Surface Book 3, or even the Surface laptop or one of these Surface devices, you might want to look at getting that. But it won't be cheap, it'll be a few £100s. None of the Surface products in the market are cheap, they really aren't. Not really if you think about what you're getting. So I realise this has been a long video, guys. I wanted to give you my thoughts on all of these devices. If I was looking to buy a laptop now, which one would I go for? For my own personal needs, I don't know. I'm kind of swaying between them. I think from a specifications and value point of view, Dell are arguably giving you the best overall package with the faster RAM, with that new CPU, and in the smallest package. You've got it in the smallest package. But Apple have done a great job with that touch bar. You can't really get that in any of the other laptops. And then Microsoft, with the pen support, with the removable keyboard, with it being such a lightweight solution for the Surface Go and for the laptop. But the Surface Book kind of stands on its own. It's heavier than other devices, but I don't know where it stands. It's a bizarre device. I would probably gravitate towards the Dell Xps 13 or the MacBook, but the Surface Book has got a dedicated graphics card, which you don't get in the MacBook and which you don't get in this XPS 13. As I said, they're all sexy, they're all portable, but they're all damn expensive. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these guys. I know it's been a long video. I was tempted to do this as a live stream, but I wanted to, kind of get through it all without distractions. And it's an interesting time that, despite what's going on, there are some really good, cool products coming out this year. The one I'll probably be looking at closely, because I've already got an XPS 13, I've already got a Surface Pro. The one I'd maybe look at closely is the Surface Go 2, because I don't have like a really portable tablet. But as I said, it's not a true tablet. It's more of a Windows laptop, so I don't know. Let me know what you think about this, guys. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Please do leave a comment below. Let me know which one interests you. And stay tuned. I'll have I've got some more live streams coming soon, so please stay tuned for that. Until then, take care.